so silently, I will always think of thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. When I laugh out and when I cry with pain, when my best friends misunderstand, in my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. Dear God, my God, I am thine for eternity. Dear God, my God, I am thine eternally. Though my path lead me over desert sands, though it take me through bitter storms, in my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. When I'm working and when in end repose, that come victory or no defeat. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. Dear God, my God, I am thine for eternity. Dear God, my God, I am thine eternally. Dear God, my God, I am thine for eternity. Dear God, my God, I am thine eternally.
I'd like to welcome all of you this morning. Our Sunday service today at Ananda Village in the Temple of Light is online, and so hearty welcome to you all. And despite that, it's really quite, I'm really able to feel the presence of everyone, not just here at the village, but everywhere. And we have such a beautiful family, and I just thank you for being present in spirit. I'm going to read week 4 from Rays of the One Light, and these are comparative passages from the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita, written by Swami Kriyananda, and this is entitled The Infinite Christ. And in this story, this is, many of you will find it familiar, is highlighted the story of the disciple of Yogananda's Devi Mukherjee. And it's such a sweet and insightful story and humorous. And very much like him, I suspect, we all grapple with the distinction between God, our guru, as one of higher consciousness, and yet for Devi in this case, who was living while Yogananda did, a physical body, a physical personality, and then also trying to capture the infinite Christ in the guru. So truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. The Gospel of St. John contains some of the most profound spiritual teachings in the Bible. In the first chapter, many subtle truths are suggested concerning higher states of self-realization. Here, John the Baptist is described as one reaching up toward that high state. He was not that light, the Gospel tells us, but was sent to bear witness to that light. Jesus Christ, by contrast, is described as the light itself. That was the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. One essential truth stands out in this teaching, that Jesus came not to dogmatize people with a new teaching, but to bring them timeless, universal truths. Disciples saw the Master clothed in human form, and therefore judged him in terms of his greatness relative to the greatness of other teachers. Wisdom, however, sees the Master's very greatness in terms of cosmic unity. There is a passage in the Path by Swami Kriyananda in which this point is emphasized. The Master Paramahansa Yogananda explained, "The saint who attains that exalted consciousness never says, 'I am God,' for he sees it was the vast ocean that became his little wave of ego. The wave, in other words, would not claim, when referring to the little self, to be the ocean." At this point, Devi, who was present, cried excitedly, "But sir, if you are one with that ocean, that means you are God." "Why I?" Master asked. "Say he is God." "But still, sir, you are one with him, and he is the only reality. That means you too are God." "But this body isn't God." "You aren't identified with your body, sir, so one may still say you are God." "Well, in that case, why do you say you? You too are that." In a discussion of this sort, it is less confusing if we say he. But what's the difference? "The scriptures say," Master began. "It's only your humility, sir," Devi broke in, "that makes you distinguish between yourself and him." "How can there be humility when there is no consciousness of ego?" Triumphantly, Devi cried. "But if you have no ego left, that means you are God." Master laughingly continued the earlier statement, which Devi had interrupted. "The scriptures say, he who knows Brahma becomes Brahma." "There," cried Devi, "you said it yourself." Master rejoined, still laughingly, "I didn't say it. It's the scriptures that say so." Master, in other words, would not identify those words with the human body speaking them. It was in his overarching spirit that he saw himself one with the infinite. But Devi was unable to make this mental leap from a pure expression of infinity to infinity itself. "You quoted those scriptures, sir," he reminded Master relentlessly. "That means you agree with them." Recognizing that the distinction was perhaps too subtle for many to grasp, Master concluded, well, he who says he is God isn't God. And, he added with a smile, he who says he isn't. And there the subject rested amid general laughter. The greater a spiritual teaching, the more greatly we betray it by particularizing it with dogmas. Truth itself, not the Christian truth or the Hindu truth, incarnates on earth with the birth of a fully liberated master. As the Bhagavad Gita teaches in the 4th chapter, unborn, changeless, Lord of creation and controller of my cosmic nature, though I am. Yet entering nature, I am dressed in the cosmic garment of my own Maya delusion. O Bharata, whenever virtue declines and vice predominates, I incarnate on earth. Taking visible form, I come to destroy evil and reestablish virtue. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Well, I too would like to welcome all of you all around the world at the Sunday service from the Temple of Light. I'd like to read a brief passage from Whispers from Eternity. This is Yogananda's prayer demand to the holy vibration for omnipresence. O holy vibration, boom on the shores of my consciousness. Break the limiting boundary of my body consciousness. Reverberate through my body, mind, and soul, through my surroundings, through all the cities and lands of this earth, through all the planets throughout the universe and every atom particle of creation. Unite my consciousness with thy cosmic consciousness. The topic is the infinite Christ. And when Yogananda talked about the Christ consciousness, he defined it as the perfect reflection of God the Father's consciousness within the creation. The parallel in the West is the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But in the East, we use Sat, Tat, Om. So the Sat is the Father, beyond the creation, beyond all the 2 trillion galaxies, vast, 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 and of course, far beyond the physical manifestation, extending into the astral and causal universe. This is Sat, this is the Father, unmoving, infinite bliss. And then within the creation is the Son, and the word Tat is the Sanskrit word for this second aspect of God. Tat means that. And I've always had a soft spot for that definition of God. It's just that. If we give it a name, if we call it Jesus, if we call it Krishna, if we call it Buddha, all sorts of things can break down. They don't have to break down, but they do break down. So the Tat, the Christ consciousness, is the perfect reflection within the creation. And the Divine Mother is all the aspects of creation. The creation, the preservation, the dissolution. So in this reading, Kriyananda tries to address these states, and Yogananda tried to address it with Devi Mukherjee. And I want to clarify for those that are still friends of the late Devi Mukherjee, of Hashi's husband and Manash's father, it wasn't that Devi Mukherjee. I just want to defend my friend that he wouldn't be so brazen as to argue with the guru. He was a wonderful disciple, and we still miss him in the body, but he's fine. He's a great disciple of Master who was married to Hashi and visited Ananda village. But the Christ consciousness is inherent in this world, and it manifests as light, as sound, as truth, as joy. The Christ consciousness is the source of all the light and goodness and harmony and beauty in this world. And the veils of Maya, draped over the light of Christ consciousness, are what give us the various gradations of beauty, and various gradations of love and kindness, and introduce what we call bad behavior and evil behavior and unbeauty, ugliness, distasteful situations. They all come from the Maya, the duality, being draped over the light of Christ consciousness. Periodically, God sends avatars who do not have a veil over their light. And so Christ and Krishna and Buddha and Ramakrishna and Lahiri Mahashaya and Swami Sri Yukteswar and on, all the avatars throughout time and in time to come, carry the light of Christ consciousness. They carry it perfectly. They shine it. And there's variation among the avatars in the way that they speak and act, the emphasis that they give to an infinite topic that was addressed in this reading by a finite disciple trying to cubbyhole the infinite consciousness. But the avatars come in response to the needs of man and the planet, and on other planets to those planets, but to this planet. They come at the time when man needs a specific aspect of correction to the trajectory of our behavior. Christ, Jesus, came at a time when the law was given, but the need for love and the emphasis on love. Yogananda came in this realm, in early Dwapara, with an emphasis on Prem Avatar, incarnation of love, but he also expressed joy and wisdom in the context of the modern world. He lived in modern India, he lived in modern America, he lived in modern Los Angeles, and brought to our attention that the Christ consciousness is the infinite solution, and it's our goal, and that we have to tune into it. There is a very important phrase that was paraphrased by Yogananda in this reading in the Path, but it's the teaching, Tat Tvam Asi, thou art that. And so the teaching is that we are the Christ consciousness. Now, immediately, in the reverse of what Yogananda was saying, we say, oh, no, the masters are the avatars. They're Christ conscious, but we are full of pitfalls and phobias and fears, and we sing badly, and we dress poorly, and our teeth are crooked, and all these things that we focus on. And one of the central teachings that Yogananda gave is that all of those cloths of duality are unreal. That the identification with the body, identification with your personality, your caste or your job status or your economic or psychological traits. All of this is duality. And in fact, tat tvam asi, thou art that. And so the first technique of self-realization that Yogananda gave was, energization exercises. You are energy. You control energy. You are energy. The second technique is Hong Sa. Very simple mantra, very simple technique. Hong Sa. I am spirit. This was the first mantra that he gave for meditation. Because through the practice of this technique and through the grace of the masters, which is a very real component of our yoga practice, and if I'm speaking to you as a disciple of another path, please substitute your guru, the grace of the guru. Let's make it generic because it is generic, it is infinite. But the grace of the Buddha, the grace of Christ, the grace of the guru, that's the dispeller of darkness. There, the masters have removed the delusion that they're not the Christ consciousness, and therefore they see the Christ consciousness in everything. And they are reminding us, Hong Sa, I am spirit. Practice whatever technique your guru has given you with the realization that that's the reality. Christ consciousness is the reality. This duality, these shortcomings that you have, they're not the reality. They're shortcomings of your body. They're shortcomings of your personality. They're shortcomings of the karma that you've assembled, and so you can't see the light. But the technique of meditation is to focus the mind on some aspect of the infinite, true, leading to the realization that you are the infinite, that you are that light. That when we close our eyes, we chant the chant, "O God beautiful," and we affirm that God is permeating the world, and we sing the song every morning when I greet the sun, that everything around us is light, is God. It's a level of reality that the masters live in, but that we should live in and must, in fact, start living in. So we meditate, we hold our mind on that level of reality, which coexists with this wonderful duality, this confusing, name-calling, divided world that we live in, whose volume is always turned up way too loud, and the quiet, still, small voice within, "Be still and know that I am God," doesn't get a lot of airplay, and it doesn't get a lot of press coverage. And so we really have to focus spiritually on what level of reality are we going to focus on. And the masters of every path and every time say, focus on the Christ consciousness. Focus on the light. Focus on Om. Focus on beauty. Focus on truth. And train yourself to see that, to hear that, to look for that, to feel that, and you will realize that that's reality. That's the message of the masters. That's what the Buddha said. That's what Christ said. That's what every master throughout time says, because it's true. We are part of the Christ consciousness. You are a part of all that is the way that the Festival of Light says it, but it's you are a part of all that really is, not you are a part of all the duality and all the muck and the dirt and the etc. So how do we move forward towards Christ consciousness? Well, we need to understand that it is the perfect reflection of God the Father within the creation. That's the Christ consciousness. And then in this reading from Ray's, Swami points out, it's not the specific being who's playing that part as much as it's that consciousness. And in fact, we're all beings that need to be playing that part. We need to be little Buddhas running around the planet, trying to uplift our consciousness and then share that light, which will resonate with our brothers and sisters and the planet and the world. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, we do it in meditation, as I was saying. And I'd like to read just a little passage from Conversations with Yogananda. Kriyananda recorded things that Yogananda said to him. He was a smart Swami, I'll tell you. Kriyananda asked Master, "Sir, what stage must one have reached to be called a master?" Paramahansa Yogananda said, "He must have attained Christ consciousness. The stages of enlightenment," Master continued, "are first, to be conscious of the Om vibration throughout the body. Next, one's consciousness becomes identified with that Om vibration beyond his body and gradually throughout the universe. One then becomes conscious of the Christ consciousness within the Om vibration, first in the physical body, then gradually in the whole universe. When you achieve oneness with that vibrationless consciousness everywhere, you have attained Christ consciousness." Okay, so that's your homework. And after that, when you've attained that, we have to practice that consciousness as we go through our lives. And the way to do that, according to Yogananda and all the avatars that have ever lived, is we have to focus on that light shining through the duality, the delusion. We have to concentrate on the love of Christ consciousness, on the love of God, that's shining through all human love, all animal love, all plant love, all molecular love, all levels of attraction, which are rooted in the God's love for the soul, because God has divided himself, into the 7.2 billion people and all the animals in this duality. But in reality, the love is shining, and we are part of that love, and we have that love within us. We have joy within us. That's the motto of Ananda, joy is within you. And I remember when Kriyananda enunciated that as our motto, and he had such a joyful smile on his face when he said, our motto is joy is within you, because it encapsulates the center. The joy is the joy of Christ consciousness taught. It's the joy of the Buddha, it's the joy of the masters, because we can see it more easily when a human being acts out joy, love. It's a little harder to conceptualize in the abstract wisdom. But when we see wisdom acted out, when we see compassion and kindness and love in the masters, we recognize it, we're attracted to it, and we need to live it. And we need to recognize it. So one thing that you may find helpful is to, as you go through your day, your situation, is try to recognize divine love wherever you see it. When you see mothers with their children, when you see children with their parents, when you see married couples, when you see friends, when you see any expressions of love, realize that that is divine love. And okay, it's turned down a little. I mean, it comes down to a popsicle or a candy bar or something, or a little kid crying because he didn't get this or that. Okay, it's turned down a little from divine love, but recognize that it originates in the divine love. When you see beauty in any form, recognize it comes from God. Beautiful woman, beautiful dress, beautiful painting, beautiful building, beautiful temple of light, beautiful trees, animals, birds, sunset, beautiful foolishness. Yogananda, one of his wonderful quotes was, "People are so skillful in their ignorance." And I just think it's to a master. Put yourself in the master's shoes. You're seeing God in everyone. And then you see this person acting so foolishly, but using their divine intelligence to act in a silly way, stupid way, idiotic way. And just that sense of, wow, that's just an amazing use of divine intelligence to twist that argument around in that way. Listen for it in music. In notes. Listen, I'm not going to recommend this, but when you hear really bad music, it's really like, wow. I mean, they started out with the concept of harmony, beauty, rhythm, syncopation, all these things, and this is what came out, and their record got on the radio. I'm like, wow. I heard a song yesterday, I was like, wow, that's just amazing. But that's the modern world, but it doesn't originate in darkness. It originates in light, and it's just scaled down. Move towards reflecting and expressing the divine love that you feel from the masters, from your friends. Move towards harmony and beauty in every aspect of your life. Put joy in every part of your day. Driving to work. Don't be sitting there clenching the steering wheel going, why do I live in Los Angeles? Just enjoy the fact that it's going to take you 45 minutes to go 1 mile. And that's really beautiful because there's a lot of mantra time or singing time. You could probably sing about 20 Swami songs in that amount of time because it's what's happening. It's what's come about. It's frustrating if we oppose the energy, the expressions that are around us, and it's enlightening if we try to improve them. We have control over our reaction to the situation of every moment. So don't labor away at your job just wishing you had another job. Go get the other job, or take the training that gives you the other job, or just appreciate the fact that this is a really mindless job, and therefore I can do mantra the whole time, all day at work, because I don't need my mind at all to do this job. I've had many types of jobs in my day, and it's always possible to contact Master and God. Always possible, even in the silliest situations. The most boring situations, the most frustrating situations. We run into this all the time. We've got to keep our eye on the Christ consciousness shining around us. We have the pandemic. I'm just so grateful that there are scientists interested in spike protein in a laboratory somewhere in a cubicle or the basement of a hospital, and they're willing to do like 200 trial tests to see if this does better than that substance. It's beautiful. I'm so glad it's not me. I'm so glad that they're happy, because the thing is, it's all God. And if you turn it to that level, that's why Master had that blissful smile on his face all the time. That's why Kriyananda was always joyful, it wasn't because the world was great while they were alive. The world was the same as it is now. It's horrible in parts of it, but to look to the part of the divine love that is shining through to a better tomorrow. Mankind is working out his karma. Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. the behavior of people. I'm not saying that we ignore it or justify it or that it's acceptable. I'm saying that from the perspective of the divine consciousness, forgive, pray for them, send energy to them. When you see hatred, when you receive hatred, send back love, send back forgiveness, help them. There's a story about one of the visionaries in Medjugorje. She was a young girl and she started having visions of the Virgin Mary in 1981. And Yugoslavia was a communist country at that time. So the secret police got her and slammed her into an interrogation room and just swore at her. And she was just this refined teenage girl. She had never even heard swear words and foul language. And these cops just dished it out on her. She stayed strong to Mary, the mother of Christ, and to the vision that she had. Many years later, in fact, just a few years ago, one of the policemen came back to her and apologized. He said, I was a jerk. What was I? I just felt so bad. And she said, oh, I've forgotten that you even did that. You know, I forgave you a long time ago. I didn't do it. And he said, but I could tell by your firmness of your faith that you were telling the truth. He was supposed to convince her that she was lying. Anyway, the point was that she didn't hold on to it and berate him. He felt terrible because of the way he was acting, and he came to become a believer in the Divine Mother. So it all worked out in the end. That's the way that the avatars see it. Christ is talking to Judas, and he says, that which you must do, do quickly. What? Because he knows this, and then Saturday, and then Easter Sunday, and then woof, here we go. The story gets way better on Sunday. Well, look forward to the reality of the light shining more brightly, but in the moment that you're in the situation you're in this afternoon, and playing golf or making lunch for your friends or whatever you're doing, or taking care of your dying friend. Sometimes parts of the movie aren't as pleasant as others. Okay, got that. But what did Christ do? What did Master do? What did Lahiri Moshai do? What does Babaji do? You behave like that. Why? Because you are like that. You have the Christ consciousness, each one of us. And if there's a voice inside your head saying, oh, Ananta doesn't know what he's talking about, you're wrong. I do know what I'm talking about because Christ knows what he's talking about. And we need to live that way. We need to keep renewing our consciousness, and that's why daily meditation is so important. If you don't go back into that light every day, twice a day at least, you're going to be thrown off by the cacophonous delusion. This is serious, serious business. The voice of delusion is very, very loud, and we need to focus on the voice of divine love. We need to listen to that song of love. We need to practice Om, chant Om, sing songs of joy, and we need to live in that consciousness, and you will realize, bit by bit, that you are a part of all that is. God bless you.
Nightingale, nightingale, sing of joy through the night. Teach my heart to impart everywhere your delight. Sing of moon rays on the rain, sing that love's not in vain. Every grief, every wrong has its ending in song. Nightingale, nightingale, sing of joy through the night. Teach all men how to of gloom into light. Without silence, what is song? Without night, where is dawn? Were it not for men's woes, who would smile at our rose? Nightingale, nightingale, sing of joy through the night. Let each tone silence groan, earth and heaven unite. Morning laughter, evening tears, snow and blossoms, all fade. Join us, sing in the night, to face change unafraid. Nightingale,